As an accomplished neurosurgeon wearing scrubs, Dr. Ben Carson was sometimes mistaken for an orderly. He never took offense, but always responded with kindness. Dr. Carson acknowledges that racism still exists in America, yet he chooses to focus on the immense progress that's been made in recent decades. He illuminates the path forward in his latest book, Created Equal.
Dr. Ben Carson is world-renowned as a pediatric neurosurgeon. In recent years, he's also become known for his political voice and candidacy. Dr. Carson believes that misinformation and divisiveness are being used to paint America as a racist, hopeless nation. In a new book, Created Equal, Dr. Carson analyzes the problem and offers ideas he believes could lead to unity and the success of us all.
Please welcome back to the 700 Club, Dr. Ben Carson. It's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you, Terry. It's nice to be back with you again.
I want to go back to that story I just mentioned where you were mistaken for an orderly, and here you are, the neurosurgeon. You chose not to be offended when that mistake was made. Why not?
Because I realized that for most of the people, the only black man that they'd ever seen on the wards in scrubs was an orderly. So why would they think differently? So it's not necessarily because they're mean, nasty people. It's because they're acting based on what they know. And I don't see any reason in a circumstance like that to get offended and angry. But I would simply say, well, gee, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones isn't ready to be taken to the OR, but I'm Dr. Carson. I'm here to see somebody. They turn about 18 shades of red. I would be very nice to them. I'd say, not a problem. I would have a friend for life. It worked out very well.
Dr. Ben, there are lots of people today who say that racism is systemic in our country in every area and every subject matter. In your book, you discuss some of the tremendous progress that's taken place in America just in your lifetime. Will you talk about that?
Yeah, well, you know, I remember as a 6-year-old going to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and there were white and colored signs over the drinking fountains in the bathrooms, and everybody was saying to me, make sure you observe those when you go back to Detroit. You don't have to do that anymore. Of course, Detroit had its own set of circumstances, but also when I was a kid and a black person would come on television and they were in a non-servile role, it was a big deal. You called everybody into the living room, hey, come and see this, and everybody was excited. And now, in the very same lifetime, you have black CEOs of major corporations, heads of foundations, generals and admirals, university presidents, including Ivy Leagues. We've elected a president of the United States twice, or a vice president. I mean, the list goes on and on. And to say that we are systemically racist and don't allow people to make progress is absolutely foolishness. That would be burying one's head in the sand. Doesn't mean that we've reached nirvana. We have not. But we've made enormous progress, and we really should celebrate the progress we've made and build on that progress. Have there been failures? Of course there have, because we're a country like every other country that's inhabited by people, and people are imperfect. That's why we need a savior. But the fact of the matter is, the United States of America is an enormous place. It's a great place to live. My wife and I talk all the time about how grateful we are that we were born here. And some people say, you're not supposed to say that because you're supposed to say that you'd be better off if you were in Africa. Would we be better off? Would people who have an Irish background be better off in Ireland? People with a German background better off in Germany? No, we're all better off because we're in this country that we've all endeavored to make into a great place.
Well, Ben, it's said that the greatest segregation in our country can be seen on Sunday morning as blacks head to black churches and whites to white churches. What role should the church be playing in healing race relations?
Well, you know, Alexis de Tocqueville, when he came to America in 1831 to study America because the Europeans wanted to understand how this fledgling nation, barely 50 years old, could compete with them on virtually every level. That was impossible. There must be something going on. And he looked at our business model and our government model, our educational model, was duly impressed. But the thing that really blew him away were the churches and those sermons that came out of those churches that empowered a bunch of ragtag militiamen to defeat the most powerful military force on earth, and that gave the people a sense of morality, a sense of what's right and what's wrong. And the church was a big, big influence. And he ended his big 2-volume analysis of Democracy in America by saying America is great because America is good. And if America ever ceases to be good, she will cease to be great. And that's the role that the church needs to be playing in racial relationships. The church has improved significantly. It used to be very, very segregated, and you just don't find that very much in Christian churches these days. But there's still progress that needs to be made there. There's no question about that. But I talk in the book about the Bible and what the Bible has to say, because some people have said the Bible condones slavery and servitude. No, it doesn't at all. And, I go through all the reasons that it does not, in fact, do that. But it does talk about, being content wherever you are and living in a way that lends honor and glory to your Lord and Savior. And sometimes people get confused about that. But, when you talk about racial relationships, look how the Bible talks about Jews and Samaritans. I mean, you want to talk about hatred. They didn't want to get anywhere near each other. And yet, in the story of the Good Samaritan, it was the Jews who passed up the man who was beaten up. It was the Samaritan who took care of him, who bounded his wounds, who put him on his donkey, took him to the inn, who paid for his care. And Jesus said, who was his neighbor? So he obviously meant for people to get along with each other, even though there may have been superficial differences that really don't amount to a hill of beans.
I want to say that we all can have a role in making a difference in race relations in our country. And Dr. Ben, you outlined that so wonderfully in your book called Created Equal. It is available wherever books are sold. Highly recommended. A good read for all of us. Thank you so much. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for being a patriot.